Welcome to our ho-ho holiday edition of the Workshop Wednesday. Carrie, that is an adorable
I know you're
headband
jealous.
/ hat.
Just bought it today. Got it 30% off. Got my little earrings on, all in the festive spirit. You've had your Santa hat on, and I have not joined you, so now I'm going to overdo.
Yeah. Okay. In true Carrie Kahn spirit, not to be outdone.
No.
But welcome to another Workshop Wednesday, brought to you by School of Bookkeeping. Today, because it is, coming up to that year end, it happens every year.
I know. It always shocks me. All the stuff you have to do at the end of you don't have to do it at the end of the year, but why not get some things done now? Because January is going to be fun.
Right.
Fun
so we wanted to kind of, Carrie, you created this year-end checklist guide. When did you do that? It was several years ago, right?
I did it several years ago, and it doesn't really need to change much, unless there's a tax item or something to call out. But it's pretty much something that can live the test of time. So
yeah. So we make it available as a download for all members of School of Bookkeeping. If you are a member of School of Bookkeeping, you can. I think Lana is going to post that in the chat of how you can access it. And if you're not a member of School of Bookkeeping, you can do that. If you're watching it on YouTube, it'll be in the description as well. But if you're joining us live here as well, we'll put the link in the chat so that you can access that as well.
Perfect.
Yes. That's why we have Landon in the background doing all these sharing things for us. So keeping us, so we can just kind of focus on what it is that we want to chat about, because Workshop Wednesday is really just an informal discussion between me and Carrie and anybody else that's joining us live about some of these topics. And this year end is always it was always funny for me when I worked at Intuit. There was always surprise that the year is ending. I mean, it happens every year. It's it's coming. But there's a lot of things that is it's almost like a hurry up and wait type of thing when it comes to the year end types of activities. And let me just share my screen here real quick here. Oh gosh, oops, it's wanting me to do. Oh, there we go. No, okay, I think I got it. Is this showing right?
I see it. It's hard to see, but I can
zoom
explain. That's the back side, Dan. There's a front side, because that's 10, 11, 12.
Okay, can I scroll? No, I can't. Oh, yes, I can. Okay, so you have this year-end file review, and it goes into just some of the common things that you do. So obviously, as an accountant, we're all worried and concerned about the bank reconciliation. So that's something that you definitely want to do. And what do you want to kind of focus on with that?
Well, what I'll do is explain how I came up with this list. Was when I first launched into my career, I ended up working at a CPA firm, and I learned so much from my boss at the time. And he taught me, he's like, if the balance sheet is wrong, your P&L is wrong. And I was like, wait, what? Because that's one of those things, you get deer in the headlight looks from everybody. And even someone who was taking the CPA exam and trying to learn all this stuff, I was kind of like, oh, I need to know this stuff. So the balance sheet is a real tricky it's really hard to understand. But what he always told me was take your time going down each account and reconciling it, making sure you understand, like with the bank. Look at all those outstanding items. Are there duplicates? Are there mistakes? Do you need to handle them? And comparing your balance sheet the year before with the current year and making sure that that ties in with your tax return, because if your starting balances are wrong, guess what? Everything's wrong. So we would work our way down each one of those accounts, which is what I used as a sample to list out items to consider and make sure they're accurate. So, um, so that was where this was created. And then there's a lot of things that you need to think of at year end, like you want to capture, make sure you have your end of year mileage. You want to make sure you've got your 1099 people. Do you have W-9s filled out for them to determine if you're going to send them a 1099 or not? Oh, how many employees moved all last year? Make sure that their data is up to date in your payroll so that when they get their W-2, it doesn't go to the wrong address and wreak havoc. So
Yeah,
it's
because this is some of the things that you talk about in your bookkeeping fundamentals course that we have on schoolofbookkeeping.com. But and that's like the perfect scenario. Like if you start with working with this customer and you set them up properly, because we have those courses as well.
Yeah.
But if you oftentimes you don't you inherit something in the process, like maybe they're switching bookkeeping or they were doing it themselves. So you may have to sort through some of these things. So and those opening balances, if they're wrong, right, that's going to bubble up to the surface when you're doing these reconciliations, whether it's for the bank or your credit cards. And then you had mentioned that here down at the bottom with mileage and meals and entertainment. Those are kind of one of those things that you want to make sure you're up on any tax changes, because there was some changes with regards to that.
Yeah, so it's a good rule of thumb to separate your meals and entertainment with your customers versus your employees, and make sure you understand the latest tax laws, because it changes. That changes. Something to keep in mind too, like when I was saying, like Dan's talking about, if you get a client mid-year, at some point, you've got their beginning balance and or they're the last time they touched the file, that usually 12/31 the prior year, so probably 12/31/21, and you're working on 22. And so a rule of thumb, and you obviously confirm with the CPA or whoever that's the tax preparer what they want to do, but you're the person going over the books. If they feel real comfortable with that balance sheet, this is the number to start with, and you find something that you need to fix, date that in the current year so you're not causing havoc on you don't want to have to make them do a amendment of a tax return, or have this conversation that I found some stuff. What do you want me to date it to? My rule of thumb is 1/1/22. Now, yesterday I just had a big long cleanup when it was ironically for their inventory, and they were finding stuff that dated the beginning of when they started using QuickBooks. And we were talking about the scenarios of why it happened and then what to do in the future. And then, okay, now how do I fix this? And we had the CPA on the call, and he said, I want this as an other expense because I don't want it to ruin our everyday P&L. I want to see how that looks. And he said, call it. And he gave us the title he wanted as an other expense. And I was like saying 1/1/22. And it turns out that this particular customer closes their books each month. So we didn't want to wreck anything that they have to give financials to their bank or whatever. So I asked them what time period have they closed November? Yes. So we used the date 12/1/2022. So it would bubble up, but it would be an other expense so that the accountant could look at those and figure out, how they wanted to do it. But she was correcting her balance sheet. She was going down and working on this one, number 10. She was working on her inventory. And I was like, this is a good time to inactivate items that you're not using, but you have to be careful in QuickBooks. If there's a quantity and a value, inactivating it makes your detail report not match your balance sheet. And you want to make sure, often a user in QuickBooks will hit that inactive button thinking, oh, we don't need this, but they've missed the step of zeroing it out and doing that journal entry.
Right.
So it's real important to have a full understanding. That inventory number might be 20,000, but print out your valuation summary that breaks it out and look at that hard. Make sure there's no mistakes in that and that those two numbers match. Often they don't, and it's that inactive item.
And we have you mentioned something about, like, closing the books, or
Yeah.
the last thing you want to do is have them, do an amended return. What's the general rule of thumb when you do discover something that should have happened in that prior period, that you're going to need to account for? Example, right, is a real life example. My client was using a Sezzle, right? Sezzle is one of those online sales channels options where you can buy now, pay later over 4 installments, right? And they don't do that. They don't do that out of the kindness of their heart. They charge you a fee for that. Well, there wasn't any way to automatically download those Sezzle fees. So he didn't realize that they weren't being accounted for until this year.
Okay.
Right. So then we discovered, there was $1,000 of expenses that we didn't take last year. Now he already, in context, he already operated at a loss last year, so he's not going to be getting any money, saving any money for that. But he wants to account for it this year.
Yeah.
So that's really the rule of thumb, right? Is if you find something, you either amend your return for last year or the year that it took place, or you could feasibly account for it this year. Is that correct?
Yeah, and what I would do is not have it all don't code it to where it should have gone because you're now talking about a prior period. I like that the CPA's idea with the client that I worked with yesterday is create an other expense that calls out prior period adjustment and put in the memo what it is. And that way the person that's preparing the tax return can see if it's significant enough to do an amendment. They can then take that data and run with it. And at least you're showing that you're balancing all those balance sheet accounts out and pulling up expenses that kind of floated up from your due diligence.
Good call out. So this is a nice comprehensive checklist, to kind of make sure that you've
jog your memory,
checked all the boxes. Obviously, if they don't have a vehicle, mileage wouldn't apply, but at least you make sure that you've covered all that. So yeah, it's available for all subscribing members, and also if you're not a subscriber. So if you haven't already, go to subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we really appreciate being able to put these on, and the more subscribers that we have, the more this makes sure that you're alerted when there's a new workshop coming up, and that way you can just hop on at your field of choice, right? Like if you prefer seeing us in Facebook, great. But if you prefer watching us on YouTube, you can watch us there as well. And also on our website, right? We have the Workshop Wednesday page there, but that is a feed from our YouTube channel. So
yes.
Anything else you want to add about these? Anything here on the checklist themselves?
No, it basically summarizes with a couple things tossed in that kind of goes along with the course that we have about what is a balance sheet, and kind of going over these items just to keep an eye. And then when I do the course on setting up your file from scratch, it refers back to a lot of these concepts, so it can give you a solid foundation. So it is a hard concept, but it's very important. You're a better bookkeeper for your client or for, your own company if you understand the concepts behind it enough to, reconcile and have your hands on, the report that okay, this is the outstanding check, this is the outstanding deposit, that's accurate. I see it going in the next month. There's no garbage that I need to clean up.
Got it. All right. So I think we're going to end a little early because you've done your due diligence and created the checklist for us. So really, if you have any questions about them or anything like that, you can put it in our community or mention it in the comments of that here. But we wanted to start a new thing of a little weekly shout out because we wanted to acknowledge the people that are helping us spread the word about the workshops by sharing it on social media. So we appreciate that. So Martha and Susan and Tina and Nicole and Susan, are you wearing your coveted School of Bookkeeping shirt? Because she is one of the few, the lucky, that is able to wrap themselves in the soft goodness of School of Bookkeeping t-shirts.
T-sheets, aka QB Time level quality shirt. So
as I was going around the QB Connect and handing some out to some select few. Oh, she's not wearing it today.
Top 2014 top 100 shirt. I don't even know where mine is, but I'm glad you still have yours. Mine might not have survived the move in the pack.
But definitely, the quality of t-shirts does affect your brand.
It does. I mean, this is a funny story, but it was a couple scaling new heights ago. She had a call. She wanted to wear it for. It was a couple scaling new heights several years ago, and one of the attendees is really a funny guy, and he said he went up to one of the vendors. I won't name which one, but they weren't up to speed on how we have to have soft t-shirts. And they said, "Here, want a t-shirt?" And he said, "Sure." When he grabbed it, it was stiff and like canvas, the old style shirts, and he went, "Ew," and gave it back. Very, we sound very ungrateful because once T-sheets lifted the bar on the quality of a t-shirt, we just couldn't go back. They're just nice and soft. So it wasn't easy for me to find the secret sauce t-shirt, but I did. I was very persistent and twisted some arms, and I was like, you have to tell me something. Plus I had the shirt so I could see in the label what it was. Anywho, we do not.
That's no secret.
Don't make t-shirts that aren't T-sheet quality. So they might not be the same brand, but it's the same softness. So
anyway. Yeah, it's pretty telling that you continue to call it t-sheets, t-shirts. When it's QuickBooks time.
It's AKA QuickBooks time. I don't even know if they give the t-shirts out. They didn't even have a booth. It was a big womp womp womp. So once I got absorbed into it, things changed. But
right. So we won't be having another workshop this year because we're gonna take a break and enjoy the holidays. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, whatever you celebrate this time of year, or tomorrow is Festivus, or is it today? Yeah. I'm not sure.
No, Festivus is Friday. It's the 23rd. It's always the day before
and then today's solstice. Today's the winter solstice.
Today is the shortest day, of light. So we're only going uphill from now.
Carrie, Siri's telling me about winter solstice.
Winter solstice. So starting tomorrow, we're going to start having longer days.
Yeah.
Because today's the shortest day as far as sunshine goes. So it's a depressing day. Don't let it get you down. And here, I'm in southern part of South Carolina. It's cold. It's really cold. It's awful.
Especially when you don't have a heater.
Yeah, our heater broke. So they told us it would be, 1 to 2 days. That's what the repairman says. And we call the office and they go, no, 3 to 5 to get the part. And we ordered it on Monday. So I'm going, okay, are they even? Some people aren't open on Friday because they're taking their Christmas Eve holiday. So I don't think we're going to have heat for Christmas. So I've got electric blankets and ceramic heaters. It's just lovely.
You could,
But at least I'm not up north.
use the wrapping paper as kindling.
Yeah, we don't want any fires here. We don't have a fireplace. We, opted out on that. And, things like this make you wish you had it. But I do have a nice ceramic heater on my feet. I went to Sam's last night and I got an electric blanket. So it's all good. Oh, and it's on. Oh, it's still on. So we're fine.
Well, you get cozy under that under that blanket, Carrie, and we'll see you in 2023. And all of you that are joining us, we appreciate you joining us with the School of Bookkeeping Workshop Wednesday. And
download that
you all have
year-end and download the year-end checklist. Everyone loves it. I hope you get some good stuff from it and have a good end of wrap-up year.
All right. Take care.